Welcome to Universal Love Law. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is going to be all about having a second house stellium. So basically, if you have a second house stellium, this basically means that you have either 4 or more planets. Even if you have 3 planets, it can still play out as strong energies, but 4 or more planets in one house. And there are 12 houses, and specifically this house is the second house, okay? The second house is our house of values. It's it's the money that we generate. It's what we consider to be valuable. It's what we hold near and dear. It's our earning, is how we can make money. It's the way we make money in life. Now, the 8th house is like other people's money, but the second house is your money, your value, your possessions, your sense of wholeness, what makes you feel complete, because all of these houses deal with some type of feeling and emotion. So when we have the second house, it's very important to understand that when the house is a stellium, that is very important to understand that the lesson in life is around your values and your possessiveness, your possessions, and your money. And so I can definitely speak on this because my son has planets in his second house, and I see very early on, he's 6 years old, but I already see things like qualities about the things that belong to him. He doesn't forget things. So let's move into it. Let's start with the sun. So let's say you have the sun in your second house. So you are someone to be valued. You are someone that people value because this is your actions. This is your daily routine. So not only do you attract people because you're valuable, and the reason why is because you chase whatever it is that you value. You're a dream chaser. Not a dream chaser like an illusion like Neptune, but more so like you chase your structure. You chase your approach and to solidifying things. Now, your approach is whatever planet is there. So, whatever sign is there. So there's different signs. There's air, fire, earth, water. So depending on what a sign you have there, it will really play out your action and the way you go about getting and acquiring your values. Like if it's you're known for it because your sun is there, and so let's say it's a water, you're emotionally driven to that, or you're in the field of some type of connectivity or working with people or working with your intuitive energy. And your sun being there, it's some type of compassion, something that you do out of a state of care, but also something that you do probably, you might work in the field of, metaphysics, things that you have to use your intuitiveness. Let's say it's earth, let's say your sun is in an earth sign. You are very practical when it comes to the way you achieve your goals and your blocks, your steps, when it comes to you achieving the money that buys you your possessions. And you're very possessive. Your people, places, and things that you frequent are very, very, connected to you, like in a very strong, passionate way. Like you are a very possessive person. And so, of course, there's good qualities and bad qualities. So let's say that your sun is in the second house with air. Your way and approach is a very methodical thinker. Like you think about ways to attracting money. You think about ways to acquiring wealth and stability. You're very into your head, and you like to communicate this. You like to talk about things that you value. You like to speak things into existence. This is really good for people who want certain tangible things, speaking things into existence. If you have air in your sun sign in your second house, you probably are very prone to being able to do that. Also, fire. So let's say you have fire in the second house with your sun. So this is a person who, and this is a stellium, remember. So this is someone who is very passionate about the things that they want in life and their value. They go after it and they appreciate it, but then they can also go through many things, because another thing about fire is the fire energy is passionate, but it's fire and it burns out. It doesn't stay a flame afloat forever. So these are people who go through things. Like, these are people, sun in the second house, fire people. They're very passionate about what they want, and they attract it due to their desire and their urgency or wanting it. But the only thing about it is that they can like lose it really fast, lose it as fast as they get it, or they get bored of it. And so these are the like where as the Earth probably wouldn't. They probably will want to keep it forever, and the water will always have that connection whether it go or stay. So they're you know what I mean. And then the air is gonna be like, you know, also kind of like that fire, but can solidify things through keeping it in the thought. So everything's very mental with the air. But so in a nutshell, when it comes to the sun, you're very seen for you're driven towards materialistic things. You value having things and having possessions, and it's something that you're extremely dedicated to having a consistency of showing. These are the people who want the brand new car every year. Or these are the people who want to, you know, like the finer things in life in a sense where they show it off. You know, because the second house is your material wealth too. It's not just the money earned income, it's your material wealth as well. And so it's very important for us to be tapped into understanding our connection with the things that we say that we value when it comes to second house. Because sometimes when you have your sun there, you can come off extremely materialistic or possessive, because it's something that people see. You know, people see this in you. Because your sun is your personal planet, and it's a personal planet that is your drive. And so when they see that you're very driven towards gaining things, that, you know, it can come off as someone who is very possessive of things, or it could come off as someone who is very stable too. And so this is I feel like it's a nice placement to have, because you're very goal driven, like I said earlier. Okay, let's move on though. So moving along to your moon. So if your moon is in your second house, which is a stellium, this is your emotion, okay? This is the way you feel. So you grow a connection you need to be connected to whatever it is that you do for work to get money. Now, your work house is more routine, like your sixth house, but work also falls in the second house too. It's it's the way you go about getting money, and the way you go about it is a value system. So if your value system is affiliated with the emotions that you have, then that is someone who is emotionally attached to the things that they possess and their lifestyle in which they're living. So this is someone who doesn't like change. This is someone who likes things to be very predictable, and they like to feel comfortable and safe, because this water being in a earth house, if it's a form of security, and security is very important, because the second house is originally ruled by Taurus, okay? Material gains, wealth, things of that nature. So it's very, very important for us to be tapped into knowing that when we have that moon in the second house, but it's a stellium, not to be overwhelmingly emotional when it comes to your connections, because it can really cause friction in your life. People will probably not like how, you know, territorial you are about the things that you want, because you're emotionally attached. It's not like the sun, where a person is just seeing how driven you are towards acquiring wealth and It's more like you're emotionally involved and invested, and you don't take L's lightly. It really impacts you, like, especially when it comes to breakups and things. Like, in the house of the see the another amazing interesting thing about the second house is it deals with what you value. And when we look at relationships, typically we weigh out things through our value system, because, and then it's another connection with Venus. Taurus is rules the second house, okay, and that's ruled by Venus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Libra rules the seventh house of relationship, and it's ruled by Venus. But Libra is the scales, it's the weighing out. So when it comes to the second house, a person that has their emotions there, their connection. So the second house deals with how we weigh out our relationships with people too, and what we considered valuable, and what we consider something to be valued. And so when your emotions are in that house, relationships, you don't take breakups lightly. Like, this is something that you valued if you had it. And so, and that it really gets into when Venus is there, okay? But you also have to understand that second house is Venus energy. And it's also earthy energy, tangible things, materialistic things, things that you consistently can hold on to for a very long time. So the emotions being there is very important for you to not become clingy to things. Learning how to have a healthy balance in any relationship, and learning how to have a healthy indulgence, like, because Taurus also rules, even if you don't have Taurus there, you can have any sign there, water, air, fire, whatever. But like, the Taurus in the second house deals with what is our pleasures and what we find as something we appreciate and value, because it's that Venus energy. And so when you, like, it's all about having a healthy balance wrapped around the way that you emotionally connect to things, whether it be food, whether it be some type of, alcohol, whether it be people, whether it be a specific thing that you like. The possessiveness could come into play from an emotional attachment. So having a good balance on your emotion is very, very key for you guys. Okay? And so let's move on. We're going to move on to Mercury. So Mercury in the second house is someone who values written or spoken word, literature, poetry, any type of expression. So the beautiful thing about Mercury is it deals with your intelligence, it deals with communication, it deals with your reasoning mind. So that being dumped in the house of values and what you appreciate and what you find valuable in a way where you can make money off of it, and turn communication into money. So these are people who can turn education into money. It's someone who can turn communication into money by creating maybe educational concepts. Like, I see someone who creates classes or creates content. These are people who are speakers or writers, or even so expression could come in all sorts. And so if a person is very creative, they might express themselves through dancing. And so I feel like with the Mercury in the second house energy, this is someone who is more so in the field of expression, whether it be you being a telecommunicator, or you being someone who writes books, poetry, whatever, someone who deals with some type of communicating in a team, very like lawyers, even like very affluent speakers and very logical people with Mercury in the second house really can move towards wanting to establish their self through having an opportunity to speak and state that type of standards that they have. Also, I feel like the only way that that can get a little messy is by when the second house person is when the second house and Mercury person is not being honest, so, and being deceitful. This can be very prone when it comes to you feeling unsafe. Because remember, second house is stability. So Mercury with the second house people is very important for you to steer away from manipulation, because you guys are mental people. You're very living in your mind, and especially when it comes to your stability. And if anything is coming as a threat to that, you will utilize your tactics to stopping it, especially when it comes to your values, and what you appreciate and how you make your money. If something poses a threat, you can be prone to gossiping about it, or, losing your mind in a sense. Like, people, like, literally your mind. This is your mind in the second house of values. So if things get unstable for you, your mind is on the table. So it's very important to have a mental healthy relationship with the things that you own. A healthy mental outlook and thought process on the way that you go about making money, and a healthy thoughts, period. Your Mercury needs to be, and especially if your Mercury is debilitated in the second house, you will go to a great extent in getting money when it comes to, or getting what you want and what you value. And so you definitely want to stay clear of that, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have created a hell for yourself due to your manipulation, or your gossiping, or or you losing your fucking mind, like going down the wrong path through negative thinking, and you're attracting things that you don't value, the total opposite, you know what I'm saying? And but to each his own. Like, some people might value very lower things, so like negative places, negative people so it's very important, if whatever you put your mind to, you will begin to value it, and you will begin to manifest it. Second house is very powerful when it comes to manifestation, because it's the grounding, it's the earth, it's the solidifying. So your mental must be in a healthy state. And whatever you think, you create very fast, because the second house is kind of willing things into existence. Very powerful house to have when it comes to material things and the way you go about making money. But when your mind is in that house, it's always on your mind. Your money is always on your mind. Your mind is always on your money. And so, yeah, but moving on to Venus. So let's say you have your Venus in your second house. This is someone who is extremely attracted to beautiful things, the finer things in life. You guys like quality over quantity. The value in things. Like, you are the type of person who will go in the store and just go straight to the most expensive thing in the store. And it's like, you just attracted to things of value. You're attracted to things that are worth having, things that you can have for a long time. You're attracted to love. You value love. This is a person who makes love a part of their career. They may work with their partner. They may be a matchmaker, because they value attraction. They value love. We love, and they value their desire, because a lot of desire falls in this Venus energy. A lot of people do not know that, but Venus is a very powerful planet when it comes to your desires and your root. Venus is like love and beauty and things of that nature, but it also deals with, what you want and what, you know what I'm saying? So when you have your desires and your love in your second house, you can make business through your in your love, with your lovers, with your partner. You can be in business with them. You could either work with them or work for them, or, find love in, work, fall in love at work a lot, fall in love with people, like, or fall in love with money, fall in love with the way, with working to get money. So Venus there, it can go both ways, because yeah, you are possessive of your things. You don't like sharing unless you really trust the person or really like them. Other than that, it's like, what belongs to me belongs to me. You're very attached to those things. Not as intense as Mars, but you're very prone to being, very, a tight grip over what it is that you want. And you may really get lost in love. Like, if once the Venus is in the second house, and once you value a person, it is a stability. But if a person isn't right for you or not treating you, fair, you still value them. It's like the love is in your house of values. So you value love, even if it's toxic. And so it's very important to put yourself first and know when enough is enough. And it's very important for Venus in the second house people to just be consistent when it comes to self care. So taking care of yourself, making sure that you're making decisions out of practical, like for practical reasons and purposes, is very important too. Moving along to Mercury. I already did Mercury. Let's say Mars. Okay, so if you have your Mars in your second house and it's a stellium, it's very important, because the Mars energy, this is Aries energy. This is fire. This is Pluto energy. This is dark. This is your ability to take action. And it can be coming from all different angles. It can become from a emotional, watery place, a very solidified, stable place, Earth, a very communicative place. Your sharp tongue with that air, and then a very passionate place, almost to like obsessionally, especially with that water. So it really, like certain planets, it really, really depends on what sign is there. But when it comes to Mars, it really, really, really does. Because, what sign is there? So whatever sign you have there, you want to take it to account. But overall, the Mars energy in the second house means that you're very serious about what you go after. Like your drive is very, very strong when it comes to the things that you have. And you're willing to fight for what you have. What is yours is yours. Very possessive. Very. It belongs to you. You worked hard for it. You did everything that you had to do for it. No one can take from you. You worked hard for what it is that you have, your things, the way you make money. If anybody poses a threat to that, you are willing to go to your wits' end. Because the Mars energy is something you do not play with. You do not play with Mars in any house. But when it's in the house of values, and when it's in the house of what you appreciate, is like, and the way you make money. Oh, this is someone who is extremely, in a state of consistently focusing and driven towards their values. Like whatever you want in life, whatever goal you had set from a kid. Like, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. And like you value it, you think about it, you want to read books about it or whatever. When you value it, your whole life mission is that, because your Mars is there. This is what you are focused on. Your values are most important to you. It can drive you crazy. It's to the point where you put that stuff so frequently first that it can become an issue in your health. So it's very important to take care of yourself as far as allowing things to just be. Learning how to let go. Because when it's Mars there, it's a strong will. You think about strong willpower, this is someone who holds on to things and don't want to let it go, okay? And so that Mars energy is going to make it even more intensified, because your values are on the line. Your money is on the line. So this is someone who might be very business orientated, very on top of their game when it comes to what it is that they're going after, and very possessive of their items. They will not share with any and everybody. Pure point blank, you have to be someone that they value. Period. And even then, they're very, Mars energy isn't like sharing and like sharing is caring. No, it's like me. It's the me. It's the I am. It's the Ram. It's the Aries energy. And so it's very, even with the Scorpio energy, it's like, that Mars energy is very powerful. And when it's in your place of values, home value, oh no, you do not like people to step on your toes when it comes to your money, your business, and whatever it is you value. And so, yeah, you're willing to go to bat for it. Moving on to Saturn. So I love Saturn in any house. A lot of people are afraid of it, but it never should be a fear. Like, you are the type of person who is very practical, very mature when it comes to creating a sense of stability in your life. You definitely go about it in a structured way. You work yourself up to the top in your work. And so it also kind of goes into the house of the 10th house. So when you have your Saturn in your second house, it gives that 10th house energy of career driven. You're a type of person who's very practical in a sense when it comes to what it is that you value. You value practical things. You value what makes sense. You value people, places, and things that are of, sense, like, very mature spirits. People who have been probably given a burden of a lot of responsibilities placed on them as a child when it comes to, working for their family, probably, or even when they get older, still taking care of their family members, like financially or whatever. Like, there's a lot of stipulations placed on this value and this money that you gain because you have so many people to take care of, and you're the one that everybody looks up to and is very responsible. You're the person that people look to feel that sense of stability, and you give people that groundedness because you had to. So another thing is, it wasn't just by your own doing. You attracted that type of energy because when you incarnated here, you had your Saturn there. So even if it was against your will, you didn't want to have to work that hard, you still have to. And because it was just the way your life play out. But it's not a bad thing, of course. Nothing is bad in the world of astrology, in the world of just life. We're here to experience life. It's a school. And so yeah. And so I would just encourage the Saturn, in the second house person to cut yourself some slack. Don't beat yourself up. Know that, you worked hard at. If all fails, you will still be all right. Everything will make sense. Sometimes Saturn in the second house, they just feel like it's all hard work and barely no play. And it's like, give yourself those times to enjoy yourself, have fun, feel liberated for all the hard work and the person that you are and the energy you provide as that stable person in your family or with your loved ones or in that job, Okay, so moving on to Pluto. Okay, so when you have Pluto in the second house, you got to remember Pluto is it's the magnet. It's the pulse. I like to call it the pulse. It's the deeper desire and root. So you might have very deeper dark fantasies that you value. You value the darker things, the darker spectrum. You have this attraction to money, attraction to people with money, because you got to also remember this Pluto rules the 8th house of other people's money. And so when you have Pluto not in that 8th house but in that second house, you're someone who values people of a certain standard and stature. When you can sense things. You can sense things that are very valuable. And these are the people that other people's money becomes their money. Because Pluto attracts people with money. Pluto attracts, it repels it too. It's a very complex energy, but it's very easy to understand once you really know that Pluto energy is just, it's its own enemy. It's like you can overindulge in the things that you value and appreciate and lose it all and then be reborn again. And because this Pluto, and anywhere Pluto falls, there's these transformations, these deaths and rebirths. And so it's very important when you have Pluto in the second house to be careful. Sometimes if you get that impulse of wanting, you feel this desire to just spend all the money. Like these are the shopping spree people. They just spend all their savings. These are the people who utilize their psyche and manipulation tactic to get other people to buy them things or get them things. They're very intuitive, but they're intuitive for their root desires. So this is desire mixed with the value. So you value your desires, and your desires can be in a darker nature because Pluto always deals with our shadow side. And so whenever you have that energy in your second house, it's very important to be aware of it so that you can know when you're indulging in darker things and you're overindulging because it feels good. You value it, and these are people who can be in a cult, make money in a cult because Pluto brings a sense of intuitiveness to a person. And it also these are strippers. These are, people who sell drugs, these are the darker lords. When you got Pluto in the second house, you are not afraid. You're not fearful. You've defeated all your fears. You're fearless in a sense, but it's very important to get a balance on that because you don't want to be attracting or creating more karma and staying on this karmic wheel of life and keep reincarnating due to these darker things that you did that created a karma with other people. Okay? And you don't play about your money either, like that Mars energy. Okay, moving along to one of my favorite planets. I love, love, love Uranus. Uranus is a beautiful planet because to have in your second house, I feel, but it can also bring rebellion to authority. And so, you might not want to get in the field of law and justice because you might feel like, anybody that does an injustice to anything that comes to you, you don't value that. You really don't. You really don't. Like Uranus in the second house energy are people who do not value anybody trying to take control over them. They value people who allow them to be their self. They value being original, one of a kind, that person who says all the right things, does all the right things, dresses just the uniquest way. Uranus in the second house values a different style of getting money. So they might get money in like really scientific ways, of course, because it does deal with higher knowledge. So these are your scientists. These are your people who work in labs. These are your people who have very humanitarianism type jobs, humanitarian jobs, working for the greater good, working for peace people, peace-loving people. But these are definitely that Uranus energy is one of its own. It's kind of like the higher intellect. So these are also your intuitive people. They might do work as psychics and things of that nature. It's very wide range because Uranus is our external planets. It's one of those subconscious things that we do or have, those abilities. So whenever the Uranus energy is falling in your house of values, it's very important for you to do things that are not normal, do things that are out of the ordinary when it comes to getting money. These people have the most oddest jobs, and they love appreciate it because no one else has those type of jobs. Or people don't know that there's those jobs even exist, or their approach to how they value things are unnormal. Like, they might value polygamy. They might value things that are rebellious to status, what is normal, or, like they might value, things that are not as traditional. So more untraditional, like a new wave or way of life. They value that versus old traditions that was like celebrating holidays and things of that nature. It might just totally be like, no, I'm not into that. I'd rather do this. Or we create our own holidays here. We have a friend day where you invite, it's a very unique energy. Yeah. So last but not least, I'm going to touch on Neptune. So Neptune in the second house of values definitely can bring in that energy of it's an aloofness, like it's a mystery wrapped around. You like things to be mysterious. You like things to be illusion and fantasy. You value daydreaming and fantasizing about what it is that would be the best thing you've ever experienced, the best vacation you ever experienced, the best romance you've ever experienced. You value movies, pastimes. You value taking the time out to just be alone, spending time to yourself, going deep in your imagination. You value your dreams. You value chasing your dreams. These are people who work and they're your aspiring artists. These are your people who, long to become a movie director. They see these visions. They're very visionary people. And they, when it comes to the way they make money, they may be a little lazy. They may not want to work hard. So lazy isn't like, they don't want to do those more laborious jobs, They may prefer, but it's depending on the chart and how Neptune is aspected in a person's birth chart. But, outside of that, they prefer creativity and arts. This is where their field of work is, and this is where they prefer to make money through, even psychicness. These are your crystal ball readers, they're very tapped into the spiritual realm, and so they can make money doing some spiritual work, spiritual healing. And yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up with, okay, let's say you have a stellium in the second house. It's very important to have balance, seek balance, tap into that Venus energy, even whatever planet it is. Know that the second house wants you to learn how to value things healthy, how to value relationships in a healthy way, how to value whatever it is that you do and how you make money to being healthy, learning not to be as possessive over things and allowing things to be let go of and fade away. And also, if you have a lot of planets in the second house, it's very important for you to know that the reason of that is because second house teaches a person to be practical. A second house teaches a person to be steady when it comes to them acquiring and attaining material and physical, physical, tangible items, things that you like, or the way you work, what do you do to work is very important. It's a very important theme in your life. So remember that the stellium energy is just an energy to teach you that it was a lot of this overwhelming energy prior. And you're here to make amends with that now. You're here to make sense of that now. Okay? And if you have any questions, please drop them in my comments. If you want to email me for whatever reason, like if you want me to do a birth chart for you, I'm going to start doing birth charts, but I want to get more content out so people can understand my style. So I'm not going to do those yet because I want people to understand that, I have a perspective of an 8th house stellium. So this is very deep, scorpionic breaking down of the weighing out of the good and bad and the practicality and how things might play out for you. And it could be very in-depth. And a lot of people do birth charts different. And so, yeah, like if you want to ask me questions, you can hit my email. It's universal.love.law@gmail.com, or just drop it in the comment section. I can help you out through the comment. We're a community. I work with you guys to helping you guys understand these energies. So, thank you very much for tuning in to Universal Love Law. Peace.